This is Faith Encouraged with Father Barnabas Powell. Homilies designed to help you live a purposeful and faith-filled life in Jesus Christ. Here's Father Barnabas.
Nobody who can look at today's world can say that we don't live in confusing times. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I don't remember which one, there was a protest in the capital of the nation of Turkey, in Ankara. And now the body count is already over 100 people. They had suicide bombers there and in the square, there in the city of Ankara. And the attack was on peaceful demonstrators. Move over a little bit further, just a little bit into Syria. And we see the challenges that are going on for our brothers and sisters, where not only now is the United States involved. By the way, the United States has now admitted that they are a complete failure at training rebels to fight ISIS, and they've stopped that program altogether. But now Russia is involved. Well, now you got to understand something about the world that I came from. The world that I came from was constantly stirred up about the end times. We were constantly talking about blood moons and the red heifer and the Jews coming back and rebuilding the temple, and that was just the topic of the day. In fact, it's even spilled over into our secular press, as now, of course, we just had the 5th blood moon recently. And that. By the way, I have survived already over 5 ends of the world. It's pretty cool. But this apocalyptic fervor, or let me use the Greek, I think it's better, the phasaria that is constantly stirred up, where does that come from? Let me ask you this. In your own life, where does the temptation to lose your focus come from? Because you see, I'm convinced that all of this noise and all of the things that are going on in our lives, from the small to the great, must always be filtered through the lens of our faith. Because if our faith really is what it says it is, if what we say at the end of this divine liturgy is true, we have seen the light, the true light. We have received the heavenly Spirit. We have found the true faith, worshiping the undivided Trinity who has saved us. If that's true, I never thought about this. Maybe we're kidding. Maybe we're just teasing. But if we're not, if this really is true, then the constant temptation, especially of modern life, to be distracted by a million things is amazing to me, and it is a constant temptation to you and in your life. So what do we do? By the way, every time I think of this, I think of Finding Nemo. And what's the little fish that helps the father of Nemo? What's the name? I can't remember. Whatever. Thank you. There we go. Yes, Dory. It's there, and she has the attention span of a gnat, and she's talking. I know what I'm doing. Oh, something shiny, and she's off there. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. She has a hard time staying focused. Well, in the age that we live in today, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, you're the greatest enemy to your consistent faith. The temptation to be distracted. The temptation to be distracted by either worry or elation. The temptation to be distracted by temporary things as opposed to focusing on eternal things. The temptation to be distracted by immediate gratification rather than investing your life for eternity. That temptation is the greatest enemy to your consistent faith. If you don't overcome it, you will be captured by it. And every moment of your life gives you the invitation to deal with that temptation. So what do? Well, we do 2 things. The first thing is we listen to the gospel lesson today. And we understand that the very first answer to the easy distracted life is preparing your heart to hear the Word of God. You know the canons. The canons are clear. If you come to the divine liturgy after the gospel lesson, you should not approach the chalice that day. That's what the canons say. By the way, people coming late to church has been going on forever. It's been going on forever. If you don't hear the gospel lesson, the canons say, do not approach the chalice. Because hearing the gospel lesson is part of the preparation of your heart to receive the Holy Eucharist. Just like regular confession is part of your preparation to receive the Holy Eucharist. Just like regular church attendance, just like keeping a daily prayer rule is part of your regular preparation to receive the Holy Eucharist. And why is that? Because, brothers and sisters, we Americans especially are easily distracted. So what do? We listen to the gospel lesson today. A sower went out to sow. Some seed fell on shallow ground. Some seed fell on ground, it grew up, but the weeds choked it out. Some seed fell on the path, and the birds came and took it away. The first step in overcoming the temptation of distraction is paying attention to the preparation of your heart to hear the Word of God and do it. So, what are you doing? Anybody ever farmed before? I never have. I used to help my grandmother harvest stuff. But you know what you got to do when you farm. You know what you're going to have when you put in a garden. What do you have to do? You have to till the soil, don't you? And you have to go through all the soil, and you have to get all the big rocks out, because if you don't get the big rocks out, you're not going to be able to have a straight row. It's going to be a mess. And so what do? You prepare the soil. Well, brothers and sisters, a purposeful Orthodox faith is the path to prepare your heart to receive the Word of God and avoid the temptation of distraction. So watch this, to the level that you are preparing your heart to receive the Eucharist, to receive the truth, to embrace the truth, that is the level at which you will have a good harvest of spiritual fruit in your life. To the level that you're not preparing your heart, there will be, because, precious friends, I want you to get this, God is lavishing on His world His grace and His mercy and His love 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. God is blessing His world with truth and with leadership and with light and with help. When the soil of your life is prepared through diligent focus and practice of the faith, you are able to receive that grace. It's going to be amazing at the end days when we stand before God, and some people will be so angry at God, they'll say, "Why didn't you tell me?" I did. You remember the joke, don't you, about the guy in the flood? I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a boat, I sent you 2 boats. Why didn't you get in any of those? Well, brothers and sisters, today, lavished on you is the path, the wisdom, the necessary spiritual tools to keep the soil of your heart prepared for the Word of God and to avoid distraction. To the level that you practice it, that will be the level that you will reap the spiritual fruit of light and peace. Secondly, if you want to avoid a distracted life, listen to the Apostle Paul with what he said in the epistle lesson. Foolish and stupid questions avoid. Folks, don't get carried away with blood moons and Gog and Magog, and Russia is now in the Middle East, and pretty soon they're going to sweep it, and now folks, calm down. Don't allow conspiracy theories or wonder when this is going to happen or wonder when that is going to happen, because the enemy will use your tendency to fall for conspiracies as a way to keep you distracted. You remember the story of St. Peter walking on the water, don't you? When St. Peter was walking on the water, he was fine until he took his eyes off Christ. And what happened then? St. Peter lived up to his name. You know, Peter means a little pebble. St. Peter began to sink. if you will avoid foolish and unlearned questions, foolish arguments, wonder when this is going to happen, wonder when that's going to happen, will this occur, will Russia sweep into Israel, will the Antichrist be revealed? All of those things are secondary issues that will tempt you to distraction and despair if you're not focused on the most important thing in your life. In fact, I'm convinced, brothers and sisters, the enemy uses this foolishness that even passes itself off as religious information to lull us into the sleep of distraction. Let me ask you a question. In every time you've been distracted in your life, have you made good choices? Whenever you've been distracted and not focused, have you made good choices? Whenever you've lacked focus and lacked purpose and lacked a clear path, how's your choices been? Today, on this day of the Sunday of the Seventh Ecumenical Council, when the fathers and the mothers of the church stood strong for the ancient teaching of the faith of the holy icons, you and I, in this day and age, are called to remain faithful not to old ideas, but to timeless ideas. And the only way to do that, to a timeless faith, to a timeless religion, to a timeless church, the only way to do that, don't get distracted.
Father Barnabas is the priest at the Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church in Cumming, Georgia. Find out more at faithencouraged.org. That's faithencouraged.org.